Welcome to the Week 9 preview show in the DBL as we keep going with the run to the playoffs. We have a couple games on the slate this week that'll really shake things up. And we will be looking forward to all of them. And first up, you have the Dizzy Devils traveling to the Margays to play what could essentially be a preview of the division title game. Dizzy Devils, they play wishy-washy. They'll lose to a bad team one day. They'll beat a good team the next. You never really know what to expect of them. It really just comes down to McFadden doing everything for the team. And the Margays, on the other hand, they just have been stellar. They're on a 6-game win streak. They're doing everything they can do right now to prepare for the playoffs and pretty much try to live up to expectations they had in the preseason. But the Dizzy Devils lost to the Gremlins last week in a close one. They ended the 3-game schedule a little while back. They started out 3-0, but it's going to be a pretty tight game. As long as the Margays handle McFadden, they shouldn't have a problem. But the Dizzy Devils, the North is all about the points race right now between the Dizzy Devils, Sea Dogs, and Empire. They're just neck and neck right now. And since the division is clinched, record-wise, it's all about points for the Dizzy Devils, Sea Dogs, and Empire. It doesn't matter win, lose, or draw. They only care about how many points they get. It'll be very interesting to see how this shakes out. But yeah, it should be a good game. I expect 7 sets. I expect a 5-2 Margays victory. And unless McFadden just completely goes in, I don't think the Dizzy Devils have the personnel for that right now. In next game, we have the Captains going to St. Louis to play the embattled Interceptors. Travis making his return to the St. Louis. A lot of emotions there. He didn't really have much to say this week in interviews about that. He just wanted to focus on the game, but we know it means a lot to him to, have the opportunity to play right now in this climate and still clawing on to an outside chance. They're at the bottom of the Midwest, but the Midwest, you win 2 games, you'd be at the top of the Midwest. So they're clawing to the idea that they have a shot at the playoff berth, but they're way down to the points. They're 30 points away from the Gremlins. So, they have to do some big things. And the Interceptors, you never know what you're going to get with them. They have the best player in the league right now in Kyle. He's the best index at 68. But outside of Kyle, that's when they fall apart. You just don't have anybody else, really. Although they're talented, you have Roman sitting at 74th in the league index-wise when he's your second best thrower. Reason for him to be that low. He just doesn't get involved in the game much, and that's been their Achilles heel all year. They just have trouble getting going. Travis, on the other hand, he's been playing very well. He's aging. You can tell he's slowing down a little bit, but he's 18th best index in the league. It's not spectacular, but it's something. He's leading this team more than I think he thought he would. You would think Corey or Joseph would have taken up the reins as a younger guy by now, but they've both been kind of mute. So expect I say an 8-set game. I think the Interceptors get it done and show that we still have some clout. We're not completely trash yet. Then you have the Pharoahs going to Phoenix, and they're licking their chops at this game. What the Pharoahs need right now is both a division win and a lot of points. because they're playing insecure right now. I mean, they're 5-1 division. They're at the best division record, so they can, if the Pharaohs win and the Gold lose to the Silverbacks, the Pharaohs clinch a spot. But if the Pharaohs win and the Gold win, the Silverbacks will still be ahead of the Pharaohs points-wise. And if the Gold beat the Pharaohs the next week by a lot, like the Gold would have to beat the Pharaohs by a score of 5-2 or better to win the division. So it's kind of a long shot, but the Pharaohs, they just want to get both bases covered, blast through the Phoenix with a lot of points, and hope that the Silverbacks, well, if the Pharaohs win, they hope that the Silverbacks lose so they can gap them in points and get closer to the division title and the point title. But if the Silverbacks win, if the Pharaohs lose, they're going to hope for a Silverbacks win so that they can become one step closer to clinching the division title. So, the Pharaohs have a lot to really think about, but they really should just focus on beating the Phoenix as bad as possible. And it can be done, but last week, the Phoenix, they beat the Silverbacks somehow. 5-3. Hounds really had a great game. Dante played impenetrable ball. It was just crazy what happened. But so you never know what's going to happen. But I think the Pharaohs, they're just so good at throwing. They have such a good core. And I don't think the Phoenix really have much of a shot. Greeley's pretty good. He's up to, what is he up to? He's 85 throwing, 68 catching, 60 dodging. That's great. He's a 108 rated. So he's a good all-arounder. But I don't know if you can withstand all that talent. It's just a really tall order. So I expect a 6-set 5-1 victory from the Pharaohs. The Diamonds go to New Orleans. Rare game that these guys barely ever play each other. So two teams that kind of just are on the downslope right now. They're both 4-4. So the winner of this game will have a winning record. Diamonds, they just have slid. They just haven't played well lately. Lions hasn't been the same guy. They lost to the Gold in a pretty easy loss. The Gold just slid right past them. Lost to the Pharaohs in a close loss. But really it was kind of, and then they beat the Diamonds, the Phoenix in week 6, but it wasn't an impressive win. You could just kind of feel it felt weak. So they've just kind of been on a skid lately. And maybe a game versus the Cats, who, honestly, this team is just not good. They have 4 wins, but they've had a cupcake. All those wins were cupcakes, So it's just hard to. They're such a fake 4-4. They just haven't played well. They're not a good team. They're just kind of a dying team. They have Jared. Alsonio, he's doing what he's doing, but he's not doing it that well. Jared has severely underplayed this year. And he's just not playing that well. He's just not getting in the game very much. Walter, he's been a disappointment his whole career. They just the bodies they have just aren't what they should be. So I think the Diamonds will win this one pretty easily, 5-3. Maybe there'll be a matchup there where Jared gets advantage or Alsonio gets advantage, but I think Sebastian Lyons, Capley as the dasher, I don't think they're going to be too hard to take down. And now we have the Checkers going to Houston to play the Toros, the number 1 team in the league, the division, the Toros are actually traveling to Charlotte in what's pretty much a dress rehearsal for the division title game, which will be in Charlotte in 3 weeks. So they, there's not really much to say about this game. I mean, Middlestein, people say he's busting, but he's okay. He's playing okay. He's playing solid for a rookie. I mean, what do you really want from him? You know, his throwing rating hasn't gone up, but his up a little bit, you know. So he's a solid player. He's not a superstar, but he's a solid player. Him and Sven formed a nice little tandem, and then with the draft next year, you keep Sven, Middlestein, and you get another nice guy. You have 3 core guys that'll be good. But right now, the Toros are you can't measure up to them. Reed, Raekwon, Lawrence, Campaign, McCarron. I mean, this team is stacked to the gills. As far, I mean, they don't have to follow any rules. They don't have to throw. They don't have to follow the coach's orders. They don't, you know, all they have is huge arms, and they'll use them. And nobody has found a way to beat them yet. Sitting at 8-0, the Toros are just, I blow your socks off. And then we have the Empire going to Louisville to play the Jocks. And the Jocks, you know, it's hard to put a finger on them, really. Sometimes they just win. They went on a 2-game win streak in the middle of the year against the Phoenix, obviously, but the very surprising win versus the Digi Devils, they kind of dominated that game. You know, Nozar had a great game, but the Sea Dogs just pummeled them, and the Sea Dogs have had their problems winning big games. So they just got pummeled by the Sea Dogs and the Margates back to back. So this might be another pummeling, but Empire you want to use this game. You want to see this game as, let's get 50 points, let's get 60 points here. But the way the Empire are playing, I mean, you have Richard, one of the best throwers in the league. He doesn't get any play. He's 46th index in the league. He's your best thrower, your best offensive weapon, and he's way down there. Thompson's doing it all. Thompson, he's a great all-arounder. But Thompson can't just do it all, you know? So they have some, dare I say, a coaching decision to make at the end of this year if things don't go into the playoffs, because this team is very talented and they're just not communicating. But I expect Empire. I expect a disappointing win from the Empire, maybe a 45 index when they really want, 50 plus. And then we have the old Southern rivalry, the Dragonfish going to Atlanta. The first game was a surprising one, and it made the South seem like it was wide open, at least for a week, where the Dragonfishes blasted the Skylarks. But the Skylarks, to their credit, they've come back to 3-1 since, only losing to the Toros, obviously, last week. And they've established themselves as the class of the league. There's pretty much no path for them to lose their second place in the division. I mean, they're fourth in the league, and the next best team is 15th, the Dragonfish, which is, there's a 60-point difference. So the Dragonfish would have to gap the Skylarks each week by 20 each week for 3 weeks, and the Skylarks would have to lose three games. So, you can pretty much put an asterisk next to the Skylarks' name. They're pretty much in. And this game will pretty much solidify it. You can never be sure of anything. Anything can happen. A team could theoretically have a 100 index game, but the Skylarks are in, guys. Let's just admit it now. This win, I think they're going to win. I think it's going to be a 5-3 win. I think they have matchup troubles with the Dragonfish, but I think they'll win this game. Silverbacks, go to San Francisco on national television, this second nationally televised game between these two. The first game is still pretty much game of the year, where Paul Ryan Somerset, they shut them out 5-0. Salazar had a great game, Somerset had a great game, and Cheeto had, this was their display of just prowess. It was amazing to watch. But can they replicate it now that they're going to be in San Francisco? With a lot riding on this game, the Silverbacks pretty much have no path. They don't have any path to the division title, the division lead into the playoffs, but the points lead, they're just far out. They're just far in ahead. So as far as they can put it, they can get it. They're rooting for the Pharoahs. They're rooting hard for the Pharoahs to just take the division because they're so far ahead in points that they don't have to worry. They want the Pharoahs to not be their enemy in points, So they, I don't know. I don't know about this game. Gold and Silverbacks both 4-4. Gold and Silverbacks have both had their peculiar losses. The Gold, they just very close win over the Phoenix a couple weeks back. They got trounced by the Toros. They've had a close loss to start the season against the Empire. Yeah, but they beat the Diamonds twice. They lost to the Pharoahs, which was supposed to be their death now. The Silverbacks are on a 3-game losing streak, if you haven't heard. Lost to the Phoenix last week. Just a disconcerting loss at home. That was such a strange loss for them. Lost to the Skylarks, obviously. And they kind of find themselves right now. They've had 3 bad losses, and I think this game could be a resurgence. I think this game can go either one of two ways. I think the Gold will just come and ball out because Pelletier is going to get every start. Salazar is the worst dasher in the league. So every set's going to start with the Gold. So either the Gold are just going to go crazy in that scenario, or the Silverbacks are going to have a repeat of week 4 where they went off. So I don't know. I'm split 50-50. It's going to be 5-1 either side. It's going to be a blowout. In the next flex game, we have the Scarlet Ember traveling to Chicago to try to get a little boost. The Scarlet Ember have fallen recently on hard times. 2-game losing streak. They're all the way down to 10th. They're not immortal. They're not guaranteed a playoff spot at all. They don't have the best division record anymore. Seemed like it was inevitable. They started out 4-0 or 3-0, and division-wise, so it just seemed like they were going to take the division. And it was after the week, Reapers and Crumbs are playing like trash. The captains are a fake team. So it seemed they live in the American dream, but lately they've just been getting beaten. They lost to the Interceptors last week, and they got murdered by the Margays. They didn't even stand a chance there, so it's not looking too good for them. And the Gremlins, to their credit, have resurged. They beat the Dizzy Devils in a big game last week, pretty much saved their season. And now they're kind of in the driver's seat. They're right there on the points race. Their division races, they can't win the division. The Reapers have clinched over them. But other than that, they're prime position for a deep run in the run to the playoffs. They're going to be fighting till week 11 for this thing, so they're very much alive. And I think the Scarlet Ember are going to clap back and say, hey, we're still the Scarlet Ember. We're still the class of this division. We're still the only team in this division that makes us look respectable. And I think it's going to be a close game. It's probably going to be a 5-4 classic Midwest battle. And the last game on the docket we have is the Reapers traveling to London to play the Sea Dogs. And this game is pivotal for both teams. Reapers trying to they're right in there in that points race too. They have a great division record, so they're hoping the Scarlet Ember lose. That would make a great matchup next week for when the Scarlet Ember play the Reapers. Even if the Scarlet Ember win, it'll be a great matchup because it'll be whoever wins the game wins the division, so that'll be exciting. But the Reapers, they're hoping they get the weak Sea Dogs. The Sea Dogs are two-faced. They can either play super well, which is why they're 7th ranking in the league, or they can just drop games like nobody's business. So it's just you don't know what you're going to get from the Sea Dogs. I think the Reapers are surging right now. They're on a 3-game win streak. They're finally clicking. Jason's on, Miller's on, Harper's finally getting in there, and I think they're really clicking right now. But I'll give the Reapers a 5-2 victory. I feel that. I think they're strong enough. I think they can do it, and I think that can happen. So let's have some fun this week. Can the Pharoahs clinch? Who's going to rise out of the Midwest? Are the Reapers going to have a clear path to clinching next week? We'll see, guys, and thank you for joining us for the pregame show. We'll see you in the flex.